What's going on, everybody? And thanks for tuning back in to another episode of Florida Prison Talk. I'm going to be mixing up this page. I'm going to be doing some stuff. Everything I do on this page is going to have to do with jail in one way or another. Like the last video I did with the ex-BGF leader, Tavon Bulldog White, that was jail stuff. And I'm still going to be doing a lot of interviews. I got a lot of interviews lined up with some Crips. I'm just trying to get people on the platform. That's the hardest part, is getting them to actually come on the platform and getting the timelines lined up and everything. People work and stuff, stuff like that. But this right here video was on the movie American Me. I'm not sure if you guys seen the movie American Me, but 10 people were killed and slain after that movie was made by the Mexican Mafia. They didn't like some of the things that were going on in the movie, so they was killing directors and producers and all kind of stuff that helped make that movie. This is a fact. 10 deaths came from that movie. Let's get right into it. And this article is coming from the Gangster Report. The Mexican Mafia was so offended by the critically acclaimed 1992 film American Me, the violent and vengeful crime syndicate murdered a trio of consultants to the movie and threatened to kill the movie's director and star, Edward James Olmos. According to the California State Police documents and court records, American Me is considered historical fiction, a raw and epic tale of one of Hispanic man's journeys through the California prison system and his role in creating the Mexican Mafia, known around the world as La M, the M in Spanish, La M. Charlie Brown Manriquez, a Mexican Mafia member and unofficial consultant to American Me, was slain. He was killed in March 1992 inside a Los Angeles housing project and La M stronghold less than 2 weeks after the film premiered. Anna, the gang lady, Lizarraga, a community youth counselor and official on-set paid consultant to Olmos, was shot to death in front of her house in May 1992. Manuel Rocky Luna, like Manriquez, a La M member who has served as an unpaid consultant for American Me, was killed a little over a year later. Let me stop right there. What would make you want to be an unpaid consultant? You're already putting your life at risk, man. These people are making money from this movie, and you had the nerve to become an unpaid consultant while your life is on the line. He was killed a little over a year later. Olmos himself received a number of thinly veiled threats on his life from the Mexican Mafia in the aftermath of the film's release. Causing him so much concern, he contacted the FBI and went into seclusion for a brief period of time. Smart guy. The character Olmos played in American Me was named Santana and based loosely on articulate and magnetic Mexican Mafia co-founder Rodolfo Cadena, Cheyenne. The way the Santana character was portrayed in the movie is reportedly what so greatly enraged La M. Specifically, then Godfather Joe Pegleg Morgan, a fellow syndicate co-founder and close friend of Cadena's, who was also depicted in the film, but called JD, that was played by actor William Forsythe in the movie. Morgan wasn't of Chicano descent, yet nevertheless rose to astronomical heights in Hispanic gang culture due to his sheer brutality and contacts he had made as a youth growing up in an all-Chicano neighborhood in East LA. The Mexican Mafia's current Orange County boss, 73-year-old Peter the Fury Ojeda, was groomed in the ways of La M by Cadena and Morgan in the late 1960s and early 70s while incarcerated with them in the California Department of Corrections. Ojeda is on trial right now for racketeering and extortion in federal court. La M was founded in around 1957 at the dual vocational youth offender camp in Northern Cali's San Joaquin County, or Joaquin, I don't know how to pronounce that. My speech has been weird lately. I don't know what's going on. Within a few short years, it spread like wildfire across the West Coast penal system and then eventually into the streets. Cadena, an iconic figure in the annals of the West Coast underworld, was murdered by members of a rival gang, Nuestra Familia, a Northern California Hispanic prison sect, in 1972. Morgan died of cancer behind bars in 1993. A year after American Me hit theaters and only months following him filing a lawsuit against Olmos and the makers of the film for defaming him and stealing his likeness without providing compensation. I could dig that. I want to get paid. Y'all going by my story. Pay me some money. Academy Award and Tony Award nominee Olmos rewrote portions of the original script, twisting the facts around in Cheyenne Cadina's life story, at least partially, to provide a role of more redemptive quality. The rewrite didn't sit well with Cadina's former chums in La, feeling the creative liberties Olmos took with the character were a giant affront to Cadina's legacy as a martyr. He don't want to be remembered to seem like he doesn't want to be remembered as a person that tried to make things work. He want to be remembered as a brutalist, sheer brutality. He don't want to remember as a person that tried to come to an agreement and stuff. That's what it seemed like the problem is. Most upsetting about the film to the Mexican Mafia were multiple male rape scenes. One in which Olmos Santana is sexually assaulted by another inmate at the youth camp they were both in. The implication that he had trouble performing sexually with the woman, and the fact the character turns his back on La at the end of the movie, leading to his vicious murder by his own gang. In reality, the Mexican Mafia forbids homosexual sex, and Cadena never left La, nor did his comrades ever turn against him. Let me stop real quick. Nobody should have died. It should have been 10 people killed from this movie, but I can see why some of the people are getting mad. Some of the real people that actually lived that life, I can see why they get mad, especially if you got homosexual scenes in there when that stuff wasn't even going on. That seemed like the problem. Like they're trying to make it Hollywood, but it caused 10 deaths. I'm pretty sure if they made this movie a little bit more accurate, which it was pretty accurate from what people say, but if they made it a little bit more accurate, I don't think it would have been 10 deaths caused from this. I think people would have been, okay, that seems about right, you know? But they said the Mexican Mafia forbids homosexual sex, and Cadena never left La, nor did his comrades ever turn against him. And when you watch the movie, his comrades they stabbed him to death. They turned against him. Cadena was stabbed almost 100 times and thrown over a third-floor prison balcony by a group of Nuestra Familia assassins on December 17th, 1972, in the wake of his controversial attempt at forging an alliance between the Mexican Mafia, Nuestra Familia, and the Black Guerrilla family. Well, I guess you kind of back up what I just said earlier about him not wanting to come to an agreement. It seemed like he did try to forge an alliance. He's just mad about the other parts of the movie that were false. And the Black Guerrilla family, the primary African-American prison gang, fell apart. He was trying to make an alliance. The carrying out of Santana's murder in American Me mirrored the exact manner Cheyenne Cadena was slain. La dissatisfaction with the movie's depiction of Cadena and the Mexican Mafia in general was evident within weeks of its March 13th, 1992 premiere in theaters around the country. Charlie Brown Manriquez, a 53-year-old La gangbanger who Olmos consulted with in the years and months leading up to American Me, was gunned down inside the Ramona Gardens housing project on March 25th by the Mexican Mafia hitman team of David Smiley Gallardo and Randy Cowboy Therian. They'd go on to be convicted in that murder as well as others. Real quick, how come every time a project is named, it has garden after it or village? And none of that shit really even exists, like Ramona Gardens. The goddamn worst projects ever. They have village at the end of it. Those be the worst damn places with all these nice ending names. God. Where I'm from in Florida, I'm from an area called Federal Gardens. And shit goes down there all the time. It's the hood. All right, back to it. So they gunned them down, and they gunned some of the guys down that helped consult on that movie. Let me go back. Charlie Brown Manriquez, a 53-year-old La gangbanger who Olmos consulted with in the years and months leading up to American Me, was gunned down inside the Ramona Gardens housing project on March 25th by the Mexican Mafia hitman team of David Smiley Gallardo and Randy Cowboy Therian. They'd go on to be convicted in that murder as well as others. Ramona Gardens is located in Boyle Heights, California, is the oldest and biggest Hispanic project in LA. The Gardens has long been an epicenter of La MA's outside operations. Anna Lizarraga, Almost is the main actor in that movie. Almost his number one advisor on American Me set was an anti-gang counselor who worked at a community center inside Ramona Gardens, trying to steer neighborhood youth away from a life of crime. She grew up in Ramona Gardens. She was shot at point-blank range in the head by recently paroled Mexican Mafia prospect Jose Joker Gonzalez on May 13th, 1992. Executed in her driveway in front of her son and boyfriend. These guys are vicious. I hope y'all don't come after me for making this video. Laughing out loud. But I'm not. Besides drawing La MA's ire for helping Almost with the shaping of the syndicate's on-screen portrayal, the 49-year-old gang lady was also suspected of being a police informant. Gonzalez, just weeks removed from being sprung out of Folsom Prison, ambushed Lizarraga as she came out of her home and began packing up her car for a day trip with her family to the beach. He was apprehended minutes later, running from the scene, and convicted at a forthcoming trial. Per court records, Joker Gonzalez, 29, at the time of Lizarraga's murder, received official initiation into La MA as a reward for a job well done in killing the gang lady. It's just so sad to me, man, how these guys go on these missions and just throw their whole life away. I'm under the impression that a lot of these guys in these gangs have mental problems. See, black and brown people, we really don't get the opportunity to have mental problems. We're always a thug or a hoodlum. But when it comes to the white kids out of the suburbs and stuff, they always bring the mental problems up first. And they be like, well, his parents were divorced at 5 years old and little Ricky didn't like that. So he went off the Yellow bomb or whatever. But when you black and brown, you don't have the opportunity to get mental problems. And I know a lot of these gangbangers is mental problems, lack of a father in the home, you're a product of your environment. And there's always people from the outside looking in and was like, well, yeah, that don't mean you go kill somebody. That's right. But a lot of you people that were raised in the suburbs and in the good neighborhoods and stuff, I don't think you guys will be able to survive in these projects. I think you guys will also become a product of your environment. And another problem is you can't empathize. You're not going to be a doggone white person from the suburbs and you see this gang violence. It's no way in the world you're able to empathize with people because you've never been through this. You never lived the struggle. So no matter how hard you try to empathize, you cannot. You just can't. It's impossible. You have to almost be in their shoes to come from the same walk of life they come from. And that's why people that come from that same walk of life and some of these guys know where they're coming from. You know why they do the things they do. Like, for example, in a lot of my videos I do when I'm interviewing people about prison, I'm always like, damn, that's crazy. I'm not surprised by the stuff that they're saying. But when you do that stuff, I do that stuff for effect. That keeps the person I'm interviewing wanting to talk more. You don't want it to seem like it's regular stuff you heard already. I don't want somebody to tell me a story about something he got into. I'm like, all right, that's regular shit. I always act surprised. I'm always dramatic. That makes the person want to talk more, and that does cause and effect for the person listening, the viewer. I've interviewed, so nothing surprised me. I'm a war vet. I've been in the Marine Corps. I'm from the projects. I'm from the hood. I see my first shooting at 7. So when I'm in these videos saying, damn, that's crazy, don't take it as, oh, this man hasn't been through nothing. No, I've been to hell and back a few times. But let me keep on moving on. Similar to Charlie Brown Manriquez, Rocky Luna wasn't a paid consultant on American Me, but aided Almost in his research, meeting with him in both 1990 and 1991 to discuss Latino gang culture. And this is another thing, man. I'm sorry if I keep stopping. Almost, who was the main actor in this movie, you're sitting here having people consult you for free, but you're not even paying them. Like, you about to make millions of dollars off this movie, and you got free consultants around you. You should have been giving these guys money. I know you knew that their lives are going to be at risk. I know you knew that. I don't know if you gave them something on the side or what, but all I keep on reading is that these people were unpaid consultants. Why would you be an unpaid consultant when your life was at risk? Why would you be an unpaid consultant to people that are going to make millions off the movie? No, I'm not doing that. I need every dime you're going to give me. Over the summer of 1993, Luna had upset his superiors in La M by dragging his feet and carrying out an assigned execution of another Mexican Mafia member. With Luna already treading on thin ice from the American Me consultation, his days were numbered. On August 7th, 1993, he was riddled with a fatal barrage of bullets while sitting behind the wheel of his car by the Avenues gang boss Alex Pee Wee Aguirre. The Avenues gang is a subset of La M. Aguirre was convicted of the gangland slaying in 1997. Back in the 1990s, the LA Times reported that as the bodies began dropping in the fallout from his movie, almost became so worried about his own personal safety that he arranged a meeting with retired Mexican Mafia leader and hitman Ramon Mundo Mendoza and requested help. Mendoza, who penned a book about his life in La M, Gang of Gangs, was the basis of a character in American Me played by Pepe Serna, famous for the chainsaw scene in 1983's Scarface. Wow, that's crazy. Let me read a couple of the comments that people said from this writing. Very interesting reading. I had the pleasure to have been born in the beginning of the 60s. And though I really didn't know what the synopsis of all the violence was about, I saw some of the after effects. Really scared stuff. Another one. How narcissistic, naive, and retarded could almost be to dive into a snake-infested pit with no protection or basic wits. He practically ordered the murder of these gang consultants and should have also followed suit if not for the intervention of a few key players. I thought almost had more integrity and wisdom than this case of rabid stupidity and egocentrism. That is crazy, man. So you have a total of 10. It didn't go over all the 10 people in this writing. You had a total of 10 people that died from the making of this movie. And the guy that was in the movie, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know that JD, the one that played with the peg leg, he was actually all white. But he came up in a Chicano neighborhood in East LA. And he made his roots, from what I'm reading, in the California Youth Authority. That's where he made his roots at. So when he got into the system, he was already like bred already for that, you know? Because they say all these youth camps and stuff, the California Youth Authority, they say it's just a training ground for the California State Prison. These juvenile facilities do not rehabilitate nobody. And no, I'm not speaking from experience, but I have my first cousin has been in a juvenile facility for a murder. And he spent a lot of time in there. I have people I grew up with in the project that used to leave. They used to leave for a certain amount of time and come back at the months or maybe a year and a half or a year, and they will be completely different. They'll be more violent. They'll be more mischievous. These youth centers do not rehabilitate you because none of the youth in there actually want to be rehabilitated. It's all about who's the toughest. And the reason why a lot of these guys in these facilities do this kind of stuff, the reason why they put on so much, the reason why they do this, the reason why they do that, is for the simple fact that they want to be talked about when they get back to the streets. Which is why when a lot of people go to the prison system, they do stuff. They have to hold it down. Even if it's something they didn't want to do, they have to do it because they know if they don't do it, when they get back on the streets, people are going to talk about them. Man, I heard you ain't hold it down, man. I heard you was getting punked in there. So it's like a lot of pressure. Just like when I interviewed Fred from Tales from the Pen. That's my boy. I haven't talked to him in a while, but that's my dude. He said that he had stabbed a dude because they said the dude was trying to take some of his or something. And Fred said, looking back on it, I don't even know if this dude was really trying to do that. It's the egos around you. It's that pressure around you that if you don't handle it, you're going to be looked at as a pushover. So you don't got time to investigate whether this rumor is true. You got to just take action. And I hate that these people lost their life because that movie was very in depth, man. That movie was brutal. It almost felt like you was in the prison system in that movie. It seemed like it was so accurate. I was getting the chills just watching it, you know? But listen, man, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And I appreciate y'all tuning in. This video was on American Me and the 10 deaths that came from it. The 10 deaths that came from it by the Mexican Mafia. They was putting hits on the consultants. And 2 of the consultants that got killed were unpaid consultants. You put your life at risk for no reason. And this is another thing, man. The names of the consultants should have been like, they should have hid those names. I mean, I know pretty soon people will find out, but they should have did their best to protect those people. But I think another problem is nobody actually thought that there'll be 10 people that died from the making of this movie. Hey, this is Easy Win, Florida Prison Talk. I appreciate everybody. I'm out of here.